Welcome to episode 212 of the Left Behind Game Club. This week we play Still Wakes the Deep. Let's get right into it.
You're listening to the Left Behind Game Club.
Welcome to the Left Behind Game Club, our never-ending attempt to make sure that no game is left behind. I'm your host, Travis Colnut, and with me today, I have one friend. It is our very special guest, Dan from The Greatest Story Ever Played. Hello, Dan.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited that you're here again, because you were just here a couple episodes ago with Jacob for episode 209 on Imposter Factory, because you and Jacob were doing, so you did 209, and then you also did 191 Finding Paradise most recently, but like you've been on a bunch of our shows, we've been on a bunch of your shows. But if anyone who's listening hasn't happened to listen to one of those episodes that we've done together, why don't you give them your pitch and plug whatever you want to plug. Let them know about the stuff that you do on the internet.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, thank you again for having me back so soon, especially.
Yeah.
That's great. So my name's Dan. I host a podcast called The Greatest Story Ever Played. We're similarly a book club style show where it's one episode or one game per episode and do a deep dive into it. I would say Left Behind and us have a fair share of crossover. If there's a game you liked that Left Behind covered, we may have also covered it. I would say the one thing that's maybe a little different about our show is we do lean pretty hard into narrative heavy games. So if you think about I don't know, your PlayStation exclusives or maybe certain indie games or even something like the game we'll talk about, kind of walking sim-ish kind of games. That's sort of our deal. And yeah, as Travis mentioned, a lot of the Left Behind Game Club folks have been on. Jacob and Katie, I think, have both been on. I think Jacob just hit 8 times, and maybe Katie's at 9. And then Travis.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and then I think you're at 3.
I think so, yeah.
So it's we've gotten a lot of... And Flora came on once too. So yeah, the gang has came on quite a lot.
Yes.
And it's been really great to share talking games. And so great to do it again today.
Yeah.
And you can find us wherever you get podcasts, The Greatest Story Ever Played, or on Blue Sky at Story Ever Pod. So go check us out on those spots.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. Today, we're going to be talking about Still Wakes the Deep. It's developed by the Chinese Room. It's published by Secret Mode. It came out on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC, and originally was released on June 18th, 2024. I guess before we go much farther, let's do our fast pitch. I'm never prepared for these, so I'm going to throw it to you. And I'm hosting, and I didn't prepare one. Oh my gosh.
I did prepare one this time. You. So
what a good guest.
I think I've forgotten before, and so I was like, never again. All right. My one sentence pitch is Scotsman sneaks by the supernatural.
Oh my gosh. Wow. The alliteration too. Oh my gosh. I honestly, and my fast pitch just came to my brain because it actually makes sense, but it is everybody's gone to Rapture and Soma had a baby, and this is what happened.
That's really good.
It's really good because those games are the ones. This is why I thought about you for doing this episode, because me and you did still. Everybody's gone to Rapture for your show, and that was developed by the Chinese Room. And then me, you, and Katie did Soma, and Soma is one of my favorite games of all time. And when I saw this back when it was released, I thought there's it's definitely got that horror vibe. And I thought there's a bit of Soma in here that I think when looking at the trailers and stuff, especially when it's you're dealing with in water-esque supernaturally horror stuff, and you're walking around and doing that kind of thing. And so originally this episode was going to have me Dan and Katie on it, but Katie got too seasick. So this, I mean, and we'll talk about it, but this game is it's first person, and it's just the motion sickness was just too strong, and it was like, no, please do not stay home, take a lot of Gravol, but don't play this anymore if you're gonna get like too sick of playing it. So then that's why I thought, because I thought the three of us, this is kind of, to me, I didn't know it at the time, but I actually feel like it is very Soma-y, like in terms of like the things that you're seeing and how maybe not like there's a lot of comparisons. I'll just leave it at that in my brain, and I didn't realize it was gonna have so much horror, like body horror. I don't think I expected as much body horror as I did when I started playing it. But I mean, it's definitely got that walking sim horror. You're kind of doing like, in terms of just like generic like gameplay setup, it is very much like that walking sim, where you're maybe solving light environmental puzzles. You're kind of moving levers and climbing up things, and I didn't expect it to be that much. But also I see the Everybody's Gone to Rapture, like I can see that this is a game from the Chinese room too when I play it, and I see the connections there. So how did you play? What platform? What did you do? What would you play it on?
I played on PS5. And I guess I don't know if I'm I feel like this is in the same realm. So this game, I guess how it kind of caught my attention was I had Game Pass on Xbox. I don't have it right now, but because I kind of cycle in and off Game Pass. Just because I don't want to pay for a subscription I don't use. So
yeah, exactly.
So it was a time where I had it, and at the time, Still Wakes the Deep was on there, and I like read a little snippet about it, watched a trailer, and was like, "Cool, this looks like my kind of game." And actually, same as you, the two things I noticed were kind of horror vibes, maybe kind of like Soma, or. Then I saw it was the Chinese room, and I was like, oh, we did Everyone's Gone to the Rapture a couple of years ago. And so I was like, okay, cool. This is going on the wish list. And so it went on the wish list. And even though I stopped having Game Pass, I kept it on a wish list. And so maybe around Christmas time or something, it went on a pretty good sale. And I was like, I'm going to pick this up. I feel like someday I'm going to play this. This hits the like me kind of game. And then a while later, you were like, hey, do you want to do this for the show? And I was like, perfect. I'm ready.
The reason.
This is what I was looking for. So what about you?
Yeah, so I played on PS5, and kind of the same. Like when it got 2024, there's a lot of games that came out in 2024 that just went right on my backlog. I didn't have the ability to play a lot of them at the time, just with life and everything, but I'm trying to slowly get through all of these games that I just thought were really interesting that came out in 2024. Like it was, like Still Wakes the Deep, Ultros, Indica, Phoenix Spring. There's just so many games, and I'm just now using Left Behind as my means of like, hey, let's clear out my backlog. And so, but when I saw that this was the Chinese room, I was like, oh, I really did like Everybody's Gone to Rapture. Like the storytelling and the moving through that space was just really good. And I really liked that game, and I really liked our discussion on it. And I honestly, the more I think about it, I'm like, I kind of want to revisit that game again. But then when I was like, oh, I know I will play this, so I think it went on sale probably late sometime last year, and I was like, all right, I know it's a quick 5-hour game. Maybe I can kind of squeeze it in. And then when I reached out and I was like, oh, do you want to play this? And I was like, oh, perfect. Like it kind of like just felt like the natural progression of like where we would have gone in a conversation, right? With like similar games, right? So
100%. Totally agree.
So I'm excited. So the basic story setup. Essentially, this game takes place on an oil rig named the Bira D. It's around Christmas in 1975. I'm assuming it's off the coast of Scotland. I don't know exactly where it's placed, but like everyone is Scottish. So you play as Kaz McCleary. He's an electrician who has a very strained relationship with his wife, and he left to work on this oil rig. So at very early on in the game, like right in the initial things, he's leaving the rig because he was fired by his boss, and he has to take a helicopter off. And as he's about to leave, there's a big catastrophic event that happens with the drill, and the implication is that it's otherworldly, supernatural, kind of cosmic horror vibes, and we don't know what's going on. And that's just like the basic setup. And obviously the story continues from there. But I just thought this was like really interesting because I can't think of another game that's like on an oil rig. Like,
yeah, I thought this was very cool as well.
Yeah.
I've not played something in this kind of setting. You know, like, okay, cool, you're on. I don't know what the sea is off the coast of Scotland either, but whatever that sea is, it's like, I've never played something there in the 70s. Something weird's going on. You know, like it just set you loose on this place, but I don't know, put you in this time, and you're like, okay, cool, let's kind of figure it out. And I was really intrigued by that, since that was not, you know, maybe like a generic video game setting we've seen before. Instead it was, this is new, and come understand it. And so I was pretty hooked by that initially.
Yeah, it's like it's so unique and specific. Like you said, the timeline, the specific, like the location, like none of these things I can even think of similar games that maybe would have been placed in this setting before. So it was just an interesting job. Then plus I'm really into horror games now, and I'm just like, okay, the more horror the better. And so just experiencing different styles of how they can apply horror into different settings and different things is just like really interesting to me. So I was like, yeah, I'll definitely want to play this. And so we kind of talked about like the setup in terms of like the gameplay itself, but it is very much like a first person perspective. Kaz can run, climb, jump. So he's trying to escape the oil rig because of whatever supernatural thing is going on. And you're pretty much just doing like a combination of like button presses when you're prompted to like move things, like I said, levers, open hatches, solve like small environmental puzzles to progress. And then there's also like a lot of stealth mechanics, because things aren't going well on this oil rig, and so you need to end up doing a lot of hiding in lockers or vents, and you're crouching to avoid being seen by essentially monsters that are like roaming around the rig. So and the thing that made me think about Soma 2, there's no combat. Like it is, there's nothing, you can't defend yourself in any way. It's pretty much like if one of these things gets you, you're done. And that was, I didn't know that part of the game before I started playing either. And then just the more and more I was like, oh, there's so many Soma comparisons here, where you're like hiding and like, yeah, okay, you can like throw something to like distract them or whatever, but like there's no combat. And so you're very defenseless in these spaces. And it's a puzzle to try to get through. How'd you feel about all that?
The Soma comparison, again, I was feeling the same way of, okay, there's something scary going on. I can't fight it. All I can do is hide. I need to, which, you know, has you feeling tense the whole time, right? Because if you get found, you're dead. Like it's just over. You've got to restart. And so you have that tension. Yeah, I thought that was really good. I would say kind of for gameplay is it felt like I'm going to say tried to bridge, almost having like, you've got some walking sim stuff, some QTE stuff, and then like with jumping, like a little more action stuff.
Like platformy almost. 'Cause you're like running and jumping and trying to grab ledges and stuff like that. Yeah,
and I would say for me, like I loved the walking sim aspects. I thought that was great. Nailed pretty well. I thought the stealth worked out pretty well too. Like it made sense. QTEs, I felt like were a little goofy, but worked out all right. But I didn't like the jumping. I thought that was like not good, personally.
Oh, really? Yeah. Like what? Were you falling into the ocean a lot?
I died a fair amount in one section of the game. There's a section. This will mean something to you, maybe, but not the listener. So I don't think it's a spoiler. Yeah. But there was like leg A and leg B when you're like kind of traveling lower, maybe midway through the game.
Okay,
There was like a chunk where I was like, okay, I know what jump they want me to do. and it wasn't working. And, you know, it could be a Dan's being bad at games thing. Like, I'm willing to own that if it is. But I was like, I don't know. I think these mechanics are kind of messed up because, like, if I'm playing the game, I know what it wants me to do and it's not working. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. A walking sim shouldn't have like a skill issue moment in my mind.
Right.
Like, they've deliberately reduced the gameplay to, you know, make other things more immersive in my mind.
Yeah.
And so if your gameplay thing's kind of messing that up, so that's one critique I would have of, like, I thought the jumping was messy. But what was your experience? Was jumping bad for you, or was I just bad at it?
I fell maybe like a couple times.
Okay.
But like, I think for me, it was more the run leading up to the jump. I feel like the run felt maybe like wobbly. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't know exactly when the jump should happen. But I did appreciate the, like, I think I really liked the triggers being the grip. Like, so I didn't struggle with it like it seems like you might have, but it is interesting because it is kind of like a walking sim plus. It's like it's got a lot of walking sim, but then you are doing some like running and jumping and platforming that's a little bit more actiony and involved than you wouldn't normally do in like a general walking sim. And I don't know if this game is advertised to be more walking simmy, but like on its face value, you would think it would be.
Right. Yeah, because, you know, like in Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, right? You didn't jump or anything. You just you explored that town.
Yeah. This game has a lot more verbs. Like, you can climb and run and like swing the camera to look behind you when something's chasing you. Like, there's a lot more actions that you can do than I would say a typical walking sim, and obviously varying degrees of success in how it's all implemented, right? Like, but I did really like the immersiveness of like the levers or the doors. Like, it felt like I liked that I had to grip with like a trigger and then move the control stick to the left to move a thing or move it up or down, or like I did enjoy the immersiveness, and I think that works in its favor because it feels like they're really immersing you in this space, and you get to so you have to do the things. Like, I actually have to turn this giant wheel. I actually have to move my screwdriver a certain way, or so like that stuff worked for me. But I could see, for me, it was more the running. I think I died less so jumping, and I think I died more often not running effectively. Like, I feel like I couldn't vault over tables easily, or like I would press the run button and then it didn't feel like he was actually running, and then I press it again and then suddenly he's running, and I'm like, okay. So for me, I think it was more the run leading up to the jumps that tripped me up more than anything.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I feel like that was like the sort of combo where the specific one where, like, I didn't die a lot jumping, but there was the one section in the middle where it was like you are going deeper into the oil rig and you jump to like a platform in the middle. And so you've got kind of there's like maybe 2 or 3 jumps that you do around that area. And I died on each of them multiple times. And I was like, I can see what they want me to do. And like, so I felt like that. But I do think you're right, though, that the other things were really immersive. And I would say for the, I think they really nailed it for the setting in that of like, it felt like you were on the oil rig, that you would be someone who was new at working on the oil rig, because like the early setup is that you've only been there for, I don't know, a few weeks or a month. Like, you're not like a veteran oil rig guy. Like, you're a new guy. And
you're a new guy who's good with Lecky.
And so there's like some things you're good at, but there's a lot of times where people got to tell you like, hey, do this thing. Or I'll do the more advanced thing. You do the lower level thing. And like, it fits. And this is outside of gameplay, but setting wise, I do feel like they also nailed like how it would feel working on an oil rig, like the camaraderie between the crew, and like what I imagine having kind of a unique job where like, right, you like live at your job, and you know, there's camaraderie that you could have, or there's guys who are like, that guy sucks and we all hate him, or, you know, like I felt like they really handled that well. Like, it felt like although we were dropped in just for largely a really wild event for these people, it felt like you could feel the history the characters had. And so the big kudos for them on that.
Yeah, I think to dive deeper into that, because I think that is the number one thing that I think this game really nails, is it really does feel like you are on this oil rig.
Mm-hmm.
It like that space is so lived in. And I had this, and then thinking retroactively about Everybody's Gone to Rapture, that space also felt very lived in.
Mm-hmm.
Like in that game, slight spoilers for that game, but everybody has gone to Rapture. And so like essentially like there's nobody in this town. There's nobody. And so you're left walking around a space where you're kind of seeing like figments of the last moments of all these people's lives, leading up to the moment where maybe, spoilers, an alien came and abducted them all, or I'm not entirely sure I don't know for sure what happened there, but at the very least, the space there felt very lived in and real, and like the locations that you're walking through, and the same thing is happening here. Like, there are other characters that you see in the environment and interact with, but especially once the game kind of gets going, you are pretty well on your own for the most part. But like every room you walk into feels so like precisely detailed, in everything has been placed with purpose in this game. Like a crazy thing that I noticed was like, okay, they had like, I was walking down a hallway and there was like a safety card on a wall, and it was put up there with duct tape, and it was like taped to the wall, and it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like this clearly fell off. Like this clearly fell off the wall, and they put it up with duct tape. And then there's one literally like a couple feet away later that also has duct tape on it. And they actually like it's not like they even reuse the asset for the duct tape, and it's the same, like the tape is like ripped in, not even in the same spots. Like they straight up did different rippings of the duct tape for this different, and like that's the kind of detail that you really didn't even have to do, especially in like a horror game where really you're kind of like, you're probably moving through certain spaces pretty quickly if you're scared, or maybe you're moving slowly and they're expecting you to kind of look at everything. But like I had stopped playing for a second and I looked at my phone, and so I just happened to look at this. My character was just like, Kaz was just staring at the wall, and the duct tape that was on there was ripped in different places for both of these like safety cards on the wall. And it's like, they didn't have to be this detailed, but they did. And honestly, it really does make you feel immersed in the space. You never feel like there is crazy stuff happening around you, but the world is so believable. And I think that's what this game does the best, is like, you can have these crazy otherworldly things happening, and the suspension of disbelief is minimal in that, like, I believe this happened because the world is so real. And like we'll talk more about like the characters and the voice acting, but everything in this game feels so real, and they did such a good job of the details that they put into everything just are so good that's I think the highest, like my favorite part of about this game is just how much detail they put into everything. And it shows. The game's beautiful. Like you look at it, I'm just like, everything is so gorgeous to look at. And it's just it's the attention to detail for me that really like was the thing that left a lasting impression.
Yeah, no, that's well said. I didn't notice a thing like the poster, but it makes sense that it could be felt. Even not seeing that, I like.
Yeah, it just like it just like fills the space. Like it's not something that you would have to do, but it then just creates this immersion that like I am on an oil rig off the coast of Scotland. Like this is a real place that you could have told me was a real place, and they just modeled it after, and I would have believed you if you told me that.
Right, 100%. It's like this. Yeah, it feels like a real place in a real time. Everything is as you would expect to be in real, and then the supernatural shows up, and now we have to deal with it. And you're like,
exactly,
so good. Like they nailed real life, and so now dealing with something so unnatural, like it totally works. Yeah,
And kind of like to carry that on a little bit, like we can talk about like the voice acting and stuff just on a general level, but like Kaz is like the actor who plays Kaz is really good. Like also everyone's got like great Scottish like accents, and I kind of loved it. Like everyone was so good, and I did have to play it with subtitles on, however, because I did struggle to understand. I didn't want to, but then I was like, I think I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, I did that too. I did subtitles, and got to learn some swear words in Scottish that we didn't know, or terms, because the subtitles would like translate it to like the English word for something,
like the slangs for certain things.
Which was cool, and like it again, I think made it just feel like you're. It just really worked. I agree. Kaz's voice actor was great. I liked all the voice acting. Like, it just felt like real people.
There's random side note, but there was an achievement for like finishing the game in like actual like what Gaelic, like actual Scottish Gaelic, like. So I'm like, that must be one of the language settings. And did they just have everyone like record in like the game with full like Gaelic Scottish, like legitimate Scottish.
Oh, wow.
I think I saw that because I was like, I looked at the trophy list on PS5 and I was like, oh, interesting. Like I would like, that would be so cool if they just it's just an interesting like little thing to do. It's like just very much feeling the culture. Like they know their stuff. It's not just like window dressing in this game.
That's a really good call out. It felt so I guess truly Scottish. I mean, I guess they could be lying, but I don't think they are, based on how like true it felt, because it didn't feel like it was like, oh, that would be cool, and then they don't really do anything with it. It was like, if we got time machined to the 70s at an oil rig, I'm like, I would bet it would be like this, minus the supernatural.
And even like with Kaz too, I appreciated that, like, and this kind of adds to like the realism and immersion that they're trying to do, but he's just some guy. And so like, you're having to like run and jump and climb things, and he's grunting. And like, there are times where I'm like, I jumped down off of a platform and he's just like, and I'm like, that wasn't that far of a jump, but I'm like, oh no, he's just some dude. Like he's not Nathan Drake here. You know what I mean? Like jumping off of like huge cliffs and just rolling and being fine. He's just like some regular guy. And this is a slightly high jump if you think realistically. And so like, he's like crying out in pain because it's like, like, dude, you're probably like, I don't know, late 30s, early 40s. And he's just like, and like, oh, this, no shade. I am late 30s, early 40s.
Right. Same.
But like, and if I had to jump off of like, I don't know, a couple crates high, I probably would also go, And, and so it's just, it added to like I think it added to the realism. Like, like I said, so much attention to detail. It just made it that much better. So that then when you're like, watching all of the crazy horrors in front of you, and his impressions, like I do really love it when a game like says the thing that I'm thinking out loud. Like I know we don't normally swear, but like when he's going like, oh F, because something happened in front of him, and I thought that too. Like it's that's a lot of fun when a character that you're playing reacts in the same way that you would personally react to seeing something terrible. Like that's when you know that like they've thought about how would a real person behave in this scenario, right? It's just really good stuff so far in this game. I like really liked it.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah. I guess we could now that we've kind of like covered like general gameplay and like the stuff that we liked about it, we could just like bit of a spoiler wall. I think let's talk about the story. Spoilers for a 5-hour game. If you liked anything that you heard about this game so far, because I don't want to give away too much of like what the horrors are, because I think it's more fun to discover it for yourself. So I'll just say light spoiler wall here. If this sounds interesting, go play it. It's like 5 hours long. And also, I guess we also didn't mention there's a story mode option. Did you use it at all?
I did. So
you did. Okay.
I use story mode because when I played Soma, I did the safe mode.
Yeah,
there.
me too.
And so I was like, that worked out well for Soma. I'll just do it again. And my impression, I think it probably made it a little more walking sim like.
Okay.
I got killed some, but not that much.
So then how does that function in terms of like what is killing you? Like, I guess if it's like you can't just let the monster just like, I guess in Soma you can just straight up walk up to monsters and nothing happens. You're pretty much just invincible in that game, right?
Yeah, that's the sort of the difference. So in Soma you couldn't die no matter what. This one you could die, but I'm guessing that it was maybe a little less skilled, or like I got by doing a lot of crouching where like I wonder if I was playing the real mode I might have got killed still. Gotcha. Not real mode, but
like the non-story mode.
Non-story mode. I'm like, I don't want to disparage myself or people who are like me, but but I felt like it worked out. So if you're someone who's like worried about dying a lot, and that like messing your experience up, I think I had all the fear they would want me to have still. Like I didn't feel like I was scared I would die, and I was hiding under things and hiding in things and all the stuff that I think came probably for you if you played regular mode. But it, I don't know, made it easier so you didn't get stuck.
Right. So growth for me, because when we played Soma, I almost right off the hop did the safe mode. Like I was like, nope, too scared. Couldn't do it. Horrified. And also, like, we did Soma, quite a bit ago. I'm going to have to look up how long, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah, I feel like that was like 4 years ago, maybe.
Oh my gosh.
Something like that. It was a while.
And that was like, and Soma, when we did that, was like, that was probably the beginnings of me, like, being more interested in trying horror games. And that safe mode allowed me to play that game and get through it because I was so scared. I like, even in safe mode, it was horrifying for me. And since that point, I think finishing Soma and getting through it opened up like my ability to like, okay, I think I can do it. And so like I've played scarier games since. Like now one of my favorite games is Alan Wake 2. And I was so interested in that game. I was like, but I think pre-Soma, I don't know if I would have been able to actually play that game. And so I'm happy to report that like I didn't play this in story mode. I actually did play it in regular mode. And I was like, oh, I can't believe I did it. And like, I think probably just because I've like exposed myself to enough horror games that like maybe I'm desensitized a little bit, but also like this game is still very scary. And like, especially some of the earlier encounters, this game does a really good job of not showing you the monster that you're like trying to get by. Like it's very, this is like I think a pretty well-known like thing, but like I think sometimes obviously when you like show the horror, the thing that is supposed to be scary, it can kind of take away the fear of the unknown is more powerful than I think. Like sometimes I'm like, especially with like body horror like stuff like in movies and stuff, I'm more of a like, I'm covering my eyes, but I'm peeking through my fingers because I actually do want to see the like horrible, disgusting thing. And so I kind of like, I feel that way with this game. I'm like, ooh, let me see how messed up that thing is that I'm gonna like, that I'm trying to run away from. But this game does a really good job of like obfuscating the thing that is, you see glimpses of it run past, or it's in shadow, or you're running away and you don't get a really good look at it, because if you sit and stare for too long, that thing's going to run up to you and kill you and you have to restart the segment again. I ended up finishing it and didn't do the story mode, which I was like, oh, I can't believe I did it. And I wouldn't have expected that I was going to be able to, because I thought I would have ended up being too scared. Because like this game does a really good job of making you feel unsettled, and the otherworldly things that are happening. It is like you look at something like this. If this was real and you saw it in real life, you'd be like, "Oh, I'm going crazy. Like, I'm gonna lose my mind." Looking at like these things are so unnatural that like and gross that I'm gonna legit lose my mind. And I am happy that I ended up pushing through. And there's moments where you can just kind of like sit and stare at it, and and I enjoyed those too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think going with that tension too, like,
Yeah.
your like event happens pretty fast, maybe like, I don't know, a half hour into the game or something.
And like we can just rip the Band-Aid off and go full spoilers now that we've warned everyone if like we want to like deep dive into it. So keep going.
Okay, sweet. But when you get this, like, I don't know, for me, it was pretty tense. So I probably played like, I don't know, an hour at a time on like the higher end. Like
I did the same thing too. I did like about an hour and a half, like 5 to 6 hour and a half sessions.
Yeah, which I think was a good way to play it, but also like I felt tense enough that I was like, okay, I like need a palate cleanse, because I felt like, the tension was in my body, and so I think well done on that. Like I felt tense, basically the whole time, from like the 20-minute mark or 30-minute mark or whatever through the whole 5 hours.
To quickly add to that, I think the game does a really good job of flip-flopping between the tense moments and the quieter moments. You're going into like a more horror escape a monster section, and then once you exit that section, the next area is maybe a little bit more platformy, a little bit more action, like a little bit more actiony, and then you kind of go back into another more stealth horror zone. So the game does a good job of breaking up. It's not like full blown beating your head over like with scary monsters everywhere.
Yep.
Where I think Soma, I think it was more scary monsters all the time. It was like one scary monster area to another scary monster area, and maybe less so of this, because this game is more actiony at times and platformy. You're doing it does break it up by section. So at least when I like cleared a zone that was horror-y, I knew I could like, okay, I got a nice chill, like not chill, but still like, but more platformy section. So I could do those two kind of back to back and then take a pause. And then next time I picked up the game, it was like, okay, dive into the horror, know that I could finish that horror section and then have a platformy section kind of coming up afterwards, right?
Yeah, no, that is true. I think they did do that well. And when I kind of realized that rhythm partway through the game, that let me feel like I could explore more on the ones where I knew I was safe. Where I was like, oh, okay, cool. I can read all the signs because I'm not going to probably get jump scared or whatever. Like,
exactly.
And that was nice because, I think, like we raved about at the beginning about the setting, like I would want to slow down and see the things because it's pretty engaging. If there's an object I could look at, I would want to because, it feels so real.
Yeah, that 100%. Because they did take so much time to like detail these areas and environments that you're moving through. It kind of feels like a shame that you're like running past all of this stuff. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was cool. And the game, as you keep going, you come to realize that like they definitely hit something deep in the ocean with their drill on this oil rig, and it is like this gross, fleshy, but also like iridescent, like multicolored glowing thing that can at times be like really beautiful. That it balanced those two things really interesting and like played with the light in interesting ways. How did you feel about like that weird juxtaposition of the two things?
It was really interesting. And for the game itself, it's all pretty dark a lot of the time, right? Like you're either out on the sea and it's dark and stormy, or you're inside the oil rig and maybe the lights are out, or it's just like a sterile kind of place. And then, the monster being sort of pink and shiny at times, and like
massive flesh.
Yeah, it almost
whipping
feels
around like tendrils. It's like that whip sound. It's like, oh gosh.
Yeah, it's gross, or like I don't know. This isn't like perfect, but in It, like the Stephen King book / movies, they have a thing called the deadlights, where it's like this kind of horrific thing, but it can kind of like trance you into it to like
Oh, interesting.
it kind of, like could capture your attention sort of thing.
Gotcha.
And I feel like this has some of that feel of like, it's this awful thing, but I can't not look at it, and it could almost kind of pull you in, like you would imagine Kaz could get a look at it and then just, oh, it's got me because I was so mesmerized almost,
Exactly. Yeah. It's like there's parts of it that are just like long, like strands of flesh, but then once it starts kind of assimilating like the crew members, then you're getting like, here's a face. Oh, here's a bunch of eyeballs. Yeah. Oh, here's like just a random hand or leg. And whenever you put weird body part, if there's just a body part somewhere where it's not supposed to be, like, it's just gross. And there, and like some of the faces that are just like melding into this like mound of flesh, it's really gross. And like, but also I kind of can't look away. Like,
yeah. And when you'd meet people who are like,
yes,
like partially possessed, it seems, where it's almost like there's like a tube into them, and it's like it's kind of them, and they can kind of talk, but it's like it's kind of not. Yeah. Oh man, those were when you'd meet someone, and you'd see that, and I guess actually going back to our setting stuff and how it felt like a real place. When you'd meet a guy and you'd be like, oh my God, that's Jones, and you see him for 5 minutes and then he dies, you're like, wow, Kez saw his coworker die. Like, it felt like that instead of just a random casualty, which is good on their part. Like, it made it count, but also it was so like horrible. Like, could you imagine, like,
just this person that you work with is now this like pile of like meat? It's gross.
A monster came and destroyed your workplace, and everyone there, like, what? Like, yeah. Oh man.
Like, it is the thing assimilating people is very Soma, and I think that's where the comparison like is really strong, where it's like, here's this weird kind of fleshy thing that is absorbing people, and then the people they're saying, like, they're kind of like on autopilot, but they're saying like, where are you, like they're doing the same thing in Soma, where they're just kind of like, it's almost like their brain is in there, and so they're still saying things, but it's all messed up. And there's a lot of that in Soma too, and I think that's where you don't get that from watching the trailers. And so it was like, oh, the monsters are just people that got like messed up by whatever this thing is that they're interacting with, right?
Yeah. And it's weird because it's like they retain like the monster's in charge, but they retain some parts of, like his boss, right, is like,
yes,
he's a villain as his boss when the life is normal. Yeah. But then when he's possessed as a monster, he's still the same like bad guy he was. Yeah. But he's also a monster, so when he's chasing you, it's like, oh yeah. It's both a monster chasing you and it's like personal. Yeah. And like those sections were really good. Like the intensity of like running through this space. And like sometimes it's like the areas are flooding at the same time because obviously this oil rig is like so heavily damaged that like water is like, it's flooding everywhere. And it's just, you're running around through spaces, running away from hiding. But there are times where like you just can't just hide. Like you're just running and you're having to like book it. No, I was going to say, there was a really great scare when you're running from your boss. I think maybe the first time, where you think he's behind you and you're running, and then he breaks out in the hallway in front of you, and you've got to like turn. Oh man, I jumped so hard. It was great. It was so good.
There's some really good stuff with the monsters too. I think there's an area that there's a really long, about midway through the game, there's a really long like stealth area where I think you're trying to reset the reactor. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
And you have to kind of like stealth your way through, reset this thing, and then stealth your way back. And I was doing pretty good. And but then in one of the passes, I got caught. And I went under the vent and I hid in the vent. And I kind of thought, oh, I'm in the vent. He's a giant mass of flesh. He's not getting in this vent. And then I did not expect, because he's floating around the space. Like, he's kind of like almost like massive flesh swinging around the environment, and you're kind of very low on the ground crouching through areas and trying to get through vents, maybe throwing like a glass mug to distract him so you can kind of get by. And I messed up. And when I went into this vent, I kind of thought, oh, I'm safe. Like I made it into a vent, so at the very least, like the monster can't get me. And I did not expect this giant mass of flesh to squeeze itself into the vent. And
wow.
Because it was kind of like a vent that was maybe like a C shape, and I was like on, because you could enter from one side, go through the C, and then come out the other side. And I was on the farther side of it, and then just right behind me, the mass C, like a hand reached out, and then all the tendrils kind of came in, and like I was like, oh my god, like it shocked me because I didn't expect the monster to be able to chase me into the vent. You weren't safe just because you were inside of a vent, and this was like mid space through the environment. Like I still had multiple other spots that I had to get through to just pass through this space, and I didn't expect that to happen. And I thought that was just a really cool touch that the game added, that like, oh no, it's not just like you could break your own immersion by thinking, oh, this is just, a monster AI that is like, its AI is programmed to, float around in an environment, and then if you go inside the vent, it's no longer in your scope of vision. And it's like, no, this monster knew I was in here and decided to like follow me in. And I just thought that was really cool. And I had to legit run and then throw a thing to get him off my tail so that I could hide and him not follow me directly, but he saw where I went and followed me in there. And I thought that was just really cool.
That's awesome.
Horrifying.
Yeah,
horrifying. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But like, I think I legit screamed, but it was so good. It was so well done. Like, I was just so impressed by that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it was really great. And so like Kaz kind of ends up on a whole bunch of like little errands that he has to run. You got to go reset this thing. You got to go down in here. You got to swim through areas. There was a swimming mechanic and the holding your breath. And those were tense too, like having to like get through spaces. I think I struggled the most with like, there was an area where you had to swim against a current and like kind of propel yourself forward.
Yeah. That one went on a while where you were like going up multiple levels.
Yeah, and it's like flooding at the same time. It's just really well done.
Yeah. No, I also, this a side comment that I don't think has come up. Something they did do well in this too was I felt like they did a good job of like guiding you on a path so you don't get lost inside the oil rig, but it didn't feel
like linear, right?
So on a path that like you felt constrained, like you could get lost, but it made it easy not to get lost, which I think was like they nailed that blend right. Like if you were just lost on the oil rig all the time, that would feel really frustrating. But if you also felt like on rails, that maybe would feel bad too. And I think they blended that really well. Because I like maybe got lost once or twice when I was like running away from a monster, so I had to like set my bearings. But like overall, I felt like I kind of understood how to navigate this area, and probably how Kaz would, right? Like he could get lost a little bit too, but like also he's been there, a few weeks or a month, so he kind of knows his way. And I don't know. I thought they did that well.
Yeah, no, that's 100. That's a great point, because if the game was too almost on rails, I think it would take out the intensity, like the thriller aspect of like, it would tone down the horror, because you'd know that like, oh, I'm going in the right direction. Like, and what's going to happen, what's behind me is behind me, what's in front of me is in front of me. And you could, like I kind of mentioned earlier, you could break your immersion. And this game does a really good job of keeping you immersed without making you, I think there's even like options in the settings that you can just straight up turn off like any UI stuff, like so that there's no prompts for like press, right trigger, left trigger, or like even hints, or like any kind of like any UI things. Like, you think you can turn it all off just to give yourself like a fully immersive experience. And I think that's just really cool. And then like obviously you can turn those things on so that there's different levels of accessibility. But like I think the game did a good job of making you feel so immersed in the space that when really crazy stuff is happening, you feel it too.
Yeah. And I guess following that with the accessibility, I think one of the things you could do, which, a lot of games have, is where you could have like yellow for like jump on this.
Yes, and that was the thing that you could turn on and off.
Yeah, and so I had that on, but it felt fine because like it would make sense that there's yellow spray paint scattered throughout this oil rig. Like, yeah, it was part of the, it blended in the environment in a natural way versus like, in some games, if you're like scaling a mountain or something, you're like, oh, sure, there's some yellow rocks.
Yeah. Someone just happened to paint these.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. On an oil rig, it would make sense. Like, you would have yellow railings, and you would have, like, things, because it's obviously, like, lots of health and safety rules and stuff that, obviously, if you look at some of the lore, there was a lot of health and safety complaints going on this oil rig. Things were not being run properly. But it would make sense that it would be built with those things in place, so it didn't, like you said, it didn't feel unnatural. But you could also turn it off, and honestly, I was very grateful for the yellow, because it was sometimes an indicator of where I needed to go next. And they did it in smart ways too. It wouldn't always just be yellow paint. It would be like, here's a yellow tarp. And when I looked at that yellow tarp, I was like, oh, I can actually jump onto this box to climb my way up. And it wasn't just, here's a box that got a can of paint that dropped on it. It was like, oh, we're just going to put a yellow tarp on this box, and it's enough to indicate that you're having to climb it so that you can move to the next space.
Yep.
So it's just really well implemented stuff to do those kinds of little changes to not make it so video gamey, right? Yeah. And then I guess general, like, story-wise, I guess we could touch on it a little bit. So Kaz, like, when he starts the game, he's, like, reading a letter from his wife, and he clearly has he's left his wife and 2 daughters or something like that to go to this oil rig, and clearly his relationship with his wife is very strained. And there are moments, because it also feels like this creature that is deep from the ocean is kind of like infiltrating their brain and having him like hallucinate a little bit at certain times, where he's having like flashbacks. That's pretty interesting. That had me really guessing like what was real or not psychologically, because like you've got these like Kaz memories, but sometimes they've got the pink splotchiness kind of showing up on the corners of the screen or whatever. Yes. And you're like, okay, is like this happening or not happening?
Yeah, is it real?
In a memory?
Yeah,
is it changing? Yeah.
Am I already possessed?
Right.
Like that was a question I had multiple times throughout, is like, is it actually that I'm the monster? Like,
right. Yeah. I did too. Yeah. No, I had the same thing.
Which is cool. Like that was cool to make you wonder that, because I wasn't at the beginning. I wasn't concerned of that, because like in the beginning, right, you're like trying to get off the boat, and then that becomes clear you can't get off the boat. So then it's like, okay, how can I sort of save my friends? And so you just spend so much time like, oh, here's a friend in this wing. Maybe I can help them, or my other friend is in this wing. We want to turn on this thing together. And so, yeah, I don't know. That was cool.
Yeah, it was. It's, like, and you mentioned like the characters that he had interacted with. So his friend Roy is, I think, the chef on this rig, and Roy got him the job because I guess apparently Kaz got himself into some trouble with the law and got into maybe a bar fight and put a guy in hospital, and his wife is very mad, reasonably so. Yep. And Kaz's solution is to run away to work on an oil rig. Like, dude, you're just making poor life choices here. Like, she's got her things together, and you are messing this up really bad.
Right, yeah. He seems to think like, oh, I'll just like go away for a little while, everyone will forget, and then I'll come back. And you're like, yeah, like, I don't know if it works that way.
Yeah. Like, a warrant for your arrest is still a warrant for your arrest. Like,
yeah, I don't think the police are going to be like, oh, he was gone 6 weeks, I guess we're done. Like, yeah, probably not.
Yeah, all you're doing is leaving your wife to have to deal with the police being like, where is your husband? Like, that doesn't solve anything. Like, but Yeah.
Very short-sighted, and so you can understand why his memories are of her being upset about that and being like, you like, hey, if you leave, like, I might not be back, or don't come back, or and that, like, you're in this dangerous situation. You've got this strained relationship with your family now because you've had to run away or chose to run away, and then all your thoughts while you're fear in this, unnatural, fearful thing is, how do I get back to my family? And so I thought that was a good juxtaposition sort of thing.
Exactly.
It's like, I've got this strained relationship, but I really care about them. And like, I made a bad choice, but I did this because I care about them, I think. And so, but now it's gotten me in this huge mess. And so now I got to get back to them.
And like, I guess to kind of wrap up the story with the ending, I think the ending is like really sad. Like it is very, it's so ultimately you end up having to like sacrifice yourself to stop this monster from one of the engineers, Finley, who's kind of been this NPC that's been throughout, kind of sending you into different areas to do different things. She ultimately decides like, no, we've got to take this thing down because it could end up like, once help comes, what if it gets to them too? So obviously it's an oil rig, and there is gas and oil, and so Kaz ends up going to the center of it and throws a lighter down and blows up the whole thing. And you get to have this kind of post alive moment. I don't know if you're like in limbo or like afterlife kind of thing, where you're kind of floating through space, and the game ends with him kind of waking up in bed, what probably was the morning of when he left, like last saw Suze, his wife, and says goodbye. And even like the details in that room were just really well done. Like it felt like this is a bedroom that like people live in. And he opens the door, and it's just like the sea is on the other side. And it's just such a melancholy, such a like sad ending that like there is no resolution to his relationship with his wife and his daughters. Like he left, there's a horrible tragedy, everyone died, the end. Like it's like it's really sad. Like there's not a happy ending here. Like horrible thing happened, it's sad, the end.
No,
That's pretty much the game.
The like only glimpse of like hope you get is that I think her letter at the beginning of the game was like, I want a divorce, that kind of stuff. And then this one is, she's like, hey, when you're back, like, I'm happy to work on, and like, you get that, and so you get this sort of sacrifice of like, okay, did he take out the oil rig so that foreseeably the monster can't get anyone else? But
like she gets to survive.
Yeah, but you're like, he doesn't know about this letter to come, or anything.
So it's even double sad.
Yeah, it's just double sad. And slightly before this, when his buddy Roy dies.
Yes.
So
I mentioned that.
Roy is like his closest friend. We mentioned like the chef, all of that, and he's got he needs insulin, right? He's diabetic.
Yes. Yeah, he's diabetic and couldn't get to his insulin in his like cabin or something.
Yeah, and so you end up trying to get it for him. He like has to hang out in the dining area because he's pretty weak from not having his medicine. And so eventually you're like, hey, just make it to this one area. You'll be safe there. I'll get your medicine. We'll meet you there. And you get there and you find that he's just recently passed. And I thought this was pretty sad. I thought they did a good job. I felt sad about this. Like we'd seen, a lot of people die before this, but like Roy, it was pretty sad. And I felt like that was one that like Kaz was rocked by other people dying, but this one was even more so.
You hear a lot of people dying in phone calls. Like you could pick up the phone if it was ringing and it's people like asking for help, and you listen to a lot of people dying in this game.
Yeah.
And like probably more so than you actually see people dying. Like people are already dead by the time you usually stumble upon them, and you maybe witness a few deaths, but like you generally speaking are hearing a lot of people dying over the phone or like in areas around you. And I was worried that Roy was going to end up being one of those monsters. I think it would have been...
Oh, that would have been awful.
Like, cruel. Like, I think that would have been... Like, even Finley, too. Like, I think would have been, like, a cruel fate to give to those NPCs that, like, Kaz was close to and also we interacted with more often. I was glad that the game... Like, if it was going to kill everyone, at the very least, they both didn't become abominations, which was somewhat of a relief if everyone was going to have to die anyways.
No, I agree. That's a good point because, like, one of the guys you see near the end was pretty rough when he was like the guy by the keys.
Yes, by the keys, and he was kind of... I think there's two instances where that happens, where you're kind of interacting with someone who is like becoming one of these monsters, right? One pretty early, like just happened to be starting to change, and then this other guy, maybe his name was Ronnie or something like that, but the one kind of where you have to take the key out of his hand.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was rough. Yeah. That was super gross. And like,
but he was still
alive.
Yeah. And he's still alive. He was coherent enough to not like outright attack you. Like, and you got to like somewhat be near him and talk on the phone with, I think, Finley at the time. But it also, like, there's different levels of like awareness and consciousness that these people have in their transformation. And I was at least happy to know that we didn't have to witness or fight or run away from like Roy becoming a monster.
Yeah, I'm glad for that too. I didn't think that when it happened, but you're right.
I was worried. I was worried that we would have to go back and then Roy's going to be like this massive pile of flesh.
Yeah, that would have been horrible.
Yeah, I think more cruel and more horrible than it needed to be. So this is actually a really tactful, like really like good way for them to do this.
Right, they gave us the sadness there, and then, well, and I guess you get a lot of sadness in a pretty quick succession because you find Roy died, and then meanwhile you, Finley, and Brody, yes, have all been like doing different stuff. Because your kind of Hail Mary attempt is like, could we detach the rig essentially and like we'll float away without the monster, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. They're trying to like salvage the rig so that they can last long enough to survive for help to come. Because if this whole thing either blows up or sinks, then we're all dead anyways, right? So
yeah, and so you have that, and then Brody, whatever his last one was that was risky, doesn't work. You get that like last phone call where you know he's gonna die, and he dies, and you're like, okay, we're totally screwed.
Yes.
And this like breaks Finley. Who
100%
then is like, okay, we've got to burn it all. You know,
burn it to the ground.
Yeah. I think one thing I would have liked to see slightly different in the ending. I think it was a good ending overall. But is Finley's broke, but then you don't quite get... Like, I don't think Kaz quite got there. I agree with what Kaz did. It makes sense as, like, a bleak ending, but I wish there was, like, a sentence that Kaz would have said of, like, okay, I can't get to you, Suze, but, like, I'll make sure they can't get to you. Like, I would have wanted something like that.
You know what? You 100% nailed it. I think there was some sort of weird disconnect where it just felt like, oh, this is just another task that Kaz has to do. Like, and he very much just did all the tasks that needed to be done at any given time when they told him, you need to go down here. And he, like, would maybe sometimes put up a little bit of a stink, but, like, ultimately did it. And I agree. I don't know if I feel like Kaz got it. Like, knew that this is what... He did it. But did he know that it needed to be done? You're right. He didn't really acknowledge that part. And I guess, like you said, maybe like vocalizing it maybe would have helped.
Yeah, I think even just like a sentence. Like I think Kaz made the right choice. Like it makes sense, and I think is even what his character would do. But like just right before it, Finley's like, "Okay, we got to blow it up," and then you're like, "I shouldn't let Finley do that."
Yeah,
and then Finley gets crushed and like can't do it. And then Finley's like, no, you need to do it. And you're like, okay, cool. And I wish I would have, even Finley, you're right. Like that would have.
I think
That would have been good
maybe,
enough.
You know what maybe would have saved that is if he was also mortally injured and knew he wasn't going to make it.
Yeah.
Anyways, so it kind of puts him into like, it's interesting that he could have just decided to run away. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what? I guess it is full circle. He ran away from his problems in real life to this rig. He could have easily just chosen to run away and be like, well, as long as I'm alive, that doesn't matter. You know, kind of like, despite the fact that there was maybe consequences to letting this monster continue to exist, right? So it is full circle in that sense. But I guess it, like you said, it didn't feel like he got it. Whereas, like, I guess also if he was injured in a way that, like, and he had to, like, limp his way to, like, the center or something, and, like, I'm gone anyways, I might as well just do this. It wasn't like Finley had this moment of, like, no, we need to do this. And Kaz didn't have this moment of, like, frantic, like, it needs to happen. Like, there is no hope.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think just a sentence would have made it.
Yeah.
And I guess talking about running away, right? If he would have had, even if he would have said, this would have been great, actually. If he would have said, I've run away from my problems. This is one I can't run away from. Yeah. I'm ending it here.
And I guess that's the thing. Is like, you can kind of imply a lot of things. And you know what, though? You're implying, there's a lot of implications, a lot of context that you have to take around the environment. So I guess if the game is trying to be as realistic as possible, is him kind of like saying the personal growth out loud, is that too on the nose for a game that didn't, you know what I mean? If he's like, I've learned that I don't need to run away anymore from my problems, like, is that a little too on the nose? But at the same time, I agree with you where I think, like, it maybe would have helped. It maybe would have helped me believe his buy-in to blowing up the whole thing.
I guess that's a good point. Would it feel on the nose, and would you be critiquing it if they did the other way? I think it's chasing Finley. That must be my problem. Is if, like, Finley was like, we got to blow it up. If you were like, cool, makes sense.
Right. Then I guess so adamant against it. Yes.
But because he's like, no, I've got to stop them. So I think that's the hang up. There either shouldn't have been a chase. You should have just been in agreement from the beginning, or because there was a chase, saying, oh my gosh, you were actually right.
Right, because you're running to stop Finley, and then suddenly Finley dies, and you're like, oh, I guess I gotta do this then.
Yeah, like, kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I agree. Yes, we're both on the same page, I think. It's just like, there's something that doesn't quite jive there. But otherwise, overall, I think it actually, like, really works as a whole, and, like...
Totally. Oh, I was gonna say, I think we're gonna say the same thing. I'm fully on board with the ending. I think they, like... What it was is right. I think it makes sense. It's a good way to end this story. All of those things. There's just like a mild execution thing.
Yes, 100% agree. I think we've covered a lot of the basis of this game. Is there any final things that we didn't touch on? Anything you want to add? What are your kind of final thoughts on it too, if you have anything else?
Yeah. So a few things. One was, I'm guessing neither of us played this, but there's a DLC for this.
I did not play the DLC. I'm interested in it.
Same. I went and put it on my wish list after this. I just read the quick premise. It is a deep sea dive exploring the oil rig, and it's set in the 80s. So
okay, Soma.
Yeah.
Deep sea dive. Okay.
Yeah. So it's on the wish list now. I'm intrigued. I feel like in a year or two, I could see wanting to be like, all right, let's do this again, because this was cool. I'm interested there. But I guess concluding stuff, I'm definitely interested in more games from the Chinese room. I feel like after everybody's gone to the Rapture and now this, I'm in. One thing I would like different, just from kind of my critique, is I think I'd rather them go more walking sim than they did here, or maybe get a little better at the gameplay elements. I would be okay if they're there, but I would like to see some improvement if they want to do that. I think they could choose either one. Either way is a good path, but I hope it's not the exact same. And like, I would want more walking sim or better gameplay. But I think a real big thing that you get with Chinese Room after these is they're really good at creating a story and a setting and having you go explore it and be there. Like, they're in. And so whatever game they make next, I assume they'll do that well again, and I want to play it.
I I echo that. There now that it's like 2 games that they've made that I've played that I'm just like, you really nailed the details. I know I harped on it. I talked about it a lot earlier, but like they're just so good at creating these environments that feel so real. And then the things that are happening around are so otherworldly that it works. Like the 2 things balance themselves out so well that it feels, and I get more buy-in. You get more buy-in from me because I'm immersed in the environment and the space, and the voice acting and the sound and everything just works really well to make me feel like I am the person in this space exploring this location. And so it makes all of the craziness happening work so well. And I liked a lot of the gameplay stuff. I didn't struggle with it as much as I didn't have as many struggles with it like you did, but I do agree that like I think I would like to see the realm of go more gameplay, but just like you said, fine tune it, get a little bit better at managing those things, because I think it would be it's a cool like balance between like not quite a full action game, but not a full walking sim either. You've got to do things in this game, and I liked that this game did that, because I think it added to like the immersive engagement. And like everyone's gone to Rapture is very like, it's very much a walking sim. Like you are just walking through that space and exploring, but it can also feel like you are just walking through a space and exploring and looking at things, but not interacting in the same way. Where I liked the interaction aspect of this game. And I think to see more of it from them and doing this and just getting and fine-tuning it and getting better is something that I'm really interested in, whatever they do next. So yeah. So recommend from me.
Yeah, no, same. I one more call out I wanted to make, because we haven't talked about this really, is I thought that like the music and the sound and like all of that I thought really worked in this game. I thought it was good. I did have like I think it was the right call for this game. So I think there's some of my expectations coming in, but I was like really blown away by the music in Everybody's Gone to the Rapture.
Yes.
Like, I remember there was just like multiple beautiful choir moments where you'd like hear a memory or something, and then and I think it was right to not include it in this game, but I still missed it, you know?
I agree.
Because I thought the sound, like the music and the sound and stuff and Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, like, I mean, that was like, wow, you know?
And like evocative, it like made me cry, like just actively like made me, like the music played a huge part of that game in linking the way the story is like peaking and the music at the same time, and just like there was such an emotional tie between those 2 things. And this game lacks it, but I think because you're kind of going more horror,
right,
it kind of I get it. But yes, I do agree that like they did such a good job with the music. It's interesting that it wasn't as tied into this game as it was in their previous one.
Yeah, exactly. Like I mean, I think doing something like this would feel out of place in this game. So like I get it. They made the right choice. Like the spooky music and like the spooky sounds were the right thing.
But then sometimes like they've got some like musicy sections with like the like I don't know what, is it a violin? I don't know. Is there some sort of but like they did have like some small moments, like especially there's like a moment where you're going up a lift. And it's and you can kind of look straight up, and it's like a glowing light, and you've got these like spirals of the fleshy tendrils kind of coming down, and like it was like mesmerizing. And they like the music. I do think there's like a music moment there where it's kind of like here's this beautiful moment that you kind of get to have in this like horrific location. And that area, that little set piece really worked for me. Like I felt very mesmerized and immersed, and at the like the kind of beauty that there almost is to like this horrible thing at the same time. And so that really worked. And I think that was like one of the only moments that they really used some form of like a music in the game.
The only other one I can think of was when Roy died. I think they also did a little bit, and it also worked. So, it worked,
they do a good job with it. So, yeah, it's the fact that it wasn't included more often, where it's like obviously a skill set that this team has that they just didn't implement as much in this game as they did their previous one. So.
Yeah, which, I imagine that just means that the next game they make, I wonder if they'll lean into the music again harder. And
I would love it. I think I would love it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would love that. And, again, I thought that all of this was great for what it was, but just an expectation I had coming in just because everyone's gone to the Rapture. It was just such a thing on that front.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I think we've more or less covered the game. Do you have any last things you want to add before we wrap up?
No, I think that covered it all. I think actually, I thought of one thing that I maybe should have said at the beginning, but I read it in an interview after and thought was good, and I think would have been good to say at the beginning, but is the creative director, they were like trying to imagine what they would kind of pitch this game is, and they called it The Thing on an oil rig. Which I thought was great, that's a good movie. Well, there's
the fast pitch. I should have used that.
Yeah, I felt like that was a good way to describe this too. And I think that they really hit what they wanted. When I read that later, I was like, cool, well said. You had a vision, and I feel like I felt that vision.
Yes, I feel like it very much they did exactly what I think they set out to do, and they did it really well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, agreed. Well, I really love this game, and I hope more people check it out. I guess before we wrap up, Dan, do you want to give any final plugs of any upcoming things, anything you want to talk about? Let the people know where they can find you again on the internet.
Yeah. Thank you again for having me. This was great.
Thank you so much.
I'm so glad we got to talk about this.
I know, me too.
Yeah. So again, our show's called The Greatest Story Ever Played. We do a book club style show just like Left Behind Game Club. And 2 episodes we mentioned quite a bit. Where Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. Travis and I talked about that, I think in 2021 or 2.
Oh my gosh, that's so long ago.
Something like that, yeah, a while ago. So you got to go back a little bit in the feed. Yeah. But we are there talking about that. And that same year, I think, Travis, Katie, and I did all talk about Soma. And so I think if you're looking for more in this realm, talking through games like this, totally hit those up. Those were great conversations. I know for Soma, the 3 of us talked for a very long time. We had a lot to say about Soma, and it was awesome.
Soma discussion is one of my favorite discussions that we've ever done, and I love it. I'm going to link both of those in the show notes down below so people can check those out.
Sweet. Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, go check those out. Otherwise, we're on Blue Sky at Story Ever Pod, and go check out the feed and see if there's something you'd want to hear us on.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. This was a lot of fun. Maybe we'll have you on again because, why not? We just did it and do it again real soon. Why not?
I would love to. I'm happy to come back as much as you want.
Awesome. Thank you so much again. So you can find me on the internet on Blue Sky at traviscolnett.bsky.social. And you can follow everything the Left Behind Game Club does on Blue Sky as well at leftbehindgameclub.bsky.social. You can follow us on Instagram at Left Behind Game Club. And you can join our Discord at leftbehindgame.club/Discord. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you do us 2 favors. Send it to a friend and give us a 5-star review on your podcasting platform of choice. And that's all I've got for today. Not sure what the next episodes that we're going to be announcing are going to be soon, but keep an eye out on our feed for that. But otherwise, that, my friends, is one... Oh, shout out Mike Ruffalo. I almost forgot. That, my friends, is one less game left behind.
Bye.
Bye.